year? Will they win their second title in as many years after waiting 50 years between championships? Or will the Browns play in the Super Bowl for the first time in their franchise history? Let's dig into it.
You know what's so interesting about this weekend? This is really, truly where the stars of football is made.
And that's why people do like it. I was only half joking there, right?
And because the divisional is like, you're 2 games away from getting to the Super Bowl.
We're legit. Either we got the bye or we won a game and we deserve to be here. You can't tell us we can't.
You don't talk about dudes that balled wild card weekend. You talk about dudes that balled this weekend and the next.
Right. If you win this weekend, you're on the cusp, and then you're on the cusp of what? The Super Bowl. Okay, so obviously the Chiefs have been there, done that. The Browns are trying to get there, do that. So Sammy Watkins ready to go, and you heard what Juju Smith-Schuster of the Steelers, you heard Chase Claypool, maybe some sour grapes after they lost to the Browns, essentially saying, hey, they're not that much of competition. Sammy Watkins, who's battled a lot of injuries this year, got a tweet from...
Actually, zoom in, I was going to say, Clay Claypool actually said he doesn't like the way that the Browns mocked Juju. I'm like, actually, that's not what happened. Place. They actually go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, no doubt. Mapletron had a great season, but as I said, I didn't think that was a great one on the way out the door. But this is the power of social media. You could reach out to anyone at any time. So a dude named Hunter, who by the looks of his avatar here, he's got Chiefs celebrating in the avatar. So I'm guessing he's a Kansas City fan. Hunter, essentially just a dude named Hunter. That's all it comes down to. Tweeted at Sammy Watkins. Looks like we got some comp next week. In other words, looks like we got some competition next week. We can actually step up. Who knew the Browns could reel off 28 in the first quarter? We might actually have to pay attention to this team. Sammy Watkins then simply replied to our guy Hunter, I wouldn't go that far, LOL. So in other words, channeling a little bit of Juju and a little bit of Chase.
So Hunter's not a Cleveland Brown.
No, Hunter is a fan. He's a Chiefs fan, and essentially saying, hey, man, we got a little competition this week, Sammy. You better get ready. And Sammy's like, come on, man.
But that's the same thing if you said something to me. I'd be like, stop. Well, right? I mean, it's the same thing. Sammy is not going at the Cleveland Browns. I understand that from you guys' standpoint in the media, Zubin, that you guys like to... You and Jay, y'all like to drum it up.
I need to see your media credential right now. If I don't see your media credential, you can't talk like that.
But in all seriousness, though, he's not taking a shot directly at the Cleveland Browns. He's talking back to a fan who tweeted at him, and he's just letting him know, no, man, we good. We're not worried about them.
And Jay, before you step in, just real quick, it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Let's just say Baker Mayfield is not taking the bait here at all.
I have no problem with it, to be honest with you, because if you don't have confidence, then you're not going to have success. And those guys have been doing it together for a few years now. They have a ton of confidence in each other. And so, I mean, it's just, people get mad when you put it out there as, your quote unquote bulletin board material. But I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It comes with the nature of this game that you got to be confident and got to know and believe in yourself.
Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. Jay, now that we've got the totality of it, we got the fan, we got Sammy, we got Cleveland responding. What do you think?
It doesn't bother me what Sammy said, but I think what's more impressive to me is that the way that the Browns continue to handle everything. Every time I remember the Browns, I remember them being this team, especially last year, all this hype was about. There was a lot of talk from their camp. And this year, they're only really speaking when they're being spoken about, right, by somebody else, like somebody referencing what Juju said or, kind of addressing this, but not barking back loud, just letting their play, kind of dictate their words, right? Like it's impressive to see the change in the dynamic of this franchise.
Look, it doesn't mean that Cleveland's going to all of a sudden light a match and go get the Kansas City Chiefs. Much like Baker said, bulletin board material, this is not college football. This is not a high school football. They're not posting things all over the locker room. See what he said. They'll deal with that in the postgame. If they win, they'll say something. If they lose, nothing will be said. The same thing that happened with the Washington football team when young Chase said what he said as a young football player in the National Football League, talking about getting after Tom Brady. The offensive linemen did their job, and that was it. Game over. But they didn't win the game. Well, nothing to talk about.
Key, I kind of disagree with you just a little bit on this one here. For the Browns.
What else would be new?
Oh, we agree on a lot. Stop. All I'm saying is that the Browns are this team that I feel like constantly play with a chip on their shoulder. And I'm not saying that it's going to be said outwardly, but you do need somebody to light some kind of flame, especially when you've had the kind of season that you've had this year, right? To find different ways to drive yourself. Like, my thing is that the Browns are a team that do have the pieces that could actually have a chance to win this game. I know people are just discounting them, but once again, they're going to continue to use things like that internally to kind of push themselves to a different level.
If they need somebody to motivate them during the divisional playoffs, then they're not gonna make it anyway. If they've done everything they've done in the regular season and then win in Pittsburgh on a wild card weekend, and they need motivation to beat Kansas City, if they don't have internal motivation and understand the prize is at the end, and they don't have that motivation, they're not gonna win anyway.
All I'm saying is every ounce of motivation counts. Right? They can already have it, but there are little things that you see that consistently think that people will disrespect you. That does add a little bit to the feel. You know what I mean?
I don't think that the Kansas City Chiefs are disrespecting the Cleveland Browns, but I also don't think that the Cleveland Browns are going to win the football game, no matter what. Yes, everybody in the National Football League. The damn Jets can play Kansas City this week and have a chance. Everybody has a chance. That's why we play the game.
I wouldn't say the Jets have the same kind of chance the Browns have.
The end, though, Jay, they've got to play the game. In the end, they still got to play the game. It doesn't matter what someone says, Zubin. You got to play.
No doubt about it. And we are ready to go to dig into detail on this game. There's been so much chatter here between Sammy Watkins, Baker Mayfield, the fans. Let's get down to brass tacks. What's going to happen on the field? There's a lot of interesting stories swirling around the Browns and the Chiefs. Kimberly A. Martin is going to cover the game for ESPN. It'll take place Sunday at 3:05 Eastern at Arrowhead Stadium. And I guess the first thing I've got to ask you, Kim, and this just shows you how big of a story the Browns have become, that the first question is not going to be about the defending Super Bowl champions. Stefanski now back in the mix after missing the wild card game due to COVID protocols. Can you talk a little bit about what coaches said and your reporting is telling you about integrating him back into the mix?
Oh, he's raring to go, and the guys are glad to have him back. Guys did make a little joke, should you stay in the basement a little bit, because based off of what we saw, how we saw them play last week. Right. But, Kevin Stefanski's back. Daryl Hodge, one of their wide receivers, is off the COVID list. So as of now, only left guard Joel Bitonio, the longest tenured Brown, who has yet to play in a playoff game because he was forced to sit out last week. He is the only guy still on the COVID list as of right now, but they're expecting him back on Sunday for the Chiefs game. So that's good news from a COVID standpoint. The Browns are feeling good. They're feeling themselves. They don't care what Sammy has to say. They don't care what I have to say, what Key has to say. They're going into this feeling like we belong here. And, Kevin Stefanski has preached from day one, do your job. He's taking the Belichick-ism, do your job. And that's what they've sort of been doing all year, each guy contributing, and you saw that last week.
Kimberly A. Martin, how you doing this morning?
Yes, my friend. What's going on?
What up, Kim?
So when you look at this, when you look at this football game, Kansas City, Cleveland, and you talk about a guy like Patrick Mahomes now embarking up on possibly his second championship, how do they feel with the time off, that they'll respond to that time off?
Pretty good, because Andy Reid, he's money when he's got downtime, when he's got a week or two to prepare for dudes. Like, he feels they're fully confident. Because, first of all, you look at that roster, why would you not be confident with that roster? Why would you not be confident with that QB? I think we've seen, unlike the Steelers, who when they have some time to rest, they come out and they struggle and they're slow and they seem to lose momentum. It seems to be the opposite for Andy Reid. So they're feeling good. They're not at all worried about any layoff or feeling like, we don't feel quite right. So I think the defending Super Bowl champs are ready to get on the field, and I don't think they'll make the same mistake as far as looking past the Cleveland Browns.
With Clyde Edwards-Helaire, too many names, coming back and being ready to go with Le'Veon Bell in the backfield as well, how will they do that rotation?
So obviously it'll be wait and see, right? But it's good to have options. I think when you're playing a team like the Browns, who they have arguably the best running back tandem, in the league, in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. You know, with the Chiefs, you want to be able to counter with a 1-2 punch too, right? Because if your running game is not working, clearly the easiest thing is for your DBs to sit back and be like, okay, they're just going to pass the ball, which clearly Patrick Mahomes can do. But Clyde Allaire, I think, you know, he's had an up and down year between injuries and lack of production after a good start. So it'll be interesting to see how often he's used and how well he does, because the playoffs are a different animal. It's like the intensity is different. The pressure is different. You know, the Browns, they'll tell, like, I look at them as a team that has nothing to lose. Like, no one thought they'd be here, so I expect them to come out and look to stop the run game for sure. So it'll be interesting to see how they use them.
Kimberly A. Martin joining us on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Our ESPN NFL reporter will be covering the game. Real quick for me, Kimberly, Kareem Hunt going back to Kansas City, the team that drafted him. Where's his emotions at?
Oh, man, he said he's a man on a mission. Like, he said this is personal. Teammates even, Nick Chubb said this week, you know, Kareem's been talking about this game as though he knew it was going to happen, like this matchup would happen. So the key to me is this can't be too emotional for Kareem. Like, he has to continue doing what he's been doing with Nick Chubb. They don't care how they split the carries because they both have been productive. He needs to come out, have a good game, but not like the emotions of the moment and where he's playing overtake him.
Kim, I want to talk to you real quick about the Jets and their new head coach, Robert Saleh.
It's a good day. It's a good day for Jets fans,
it's
right?
It's a great day,
Everybody
right?
should be happy at work
especially
today.
with how he's announcing his staff. I mean, bringing on Mike LaFleur with him, a guy that comes from that kind of Kyle Shanahan offense. What does that mean for Sam Darnold?
I don't think we know what that means. In all seriousness, LaFleur could work to fix Sam Darnold, but right now everything's on the table. When you got a new head coach, the GM who didn't draft Sam Darnold, that was the old GM. You've watched 3 years of bad quarterback play, and you're a team that has the number 2 overall pick. Like, Sam Darnold's future with the team isn't at all set. If you're Sam Darnold, you might be somewhat hyped, like, okay, cool, Salah, like LaFleur, okay, I feel like, you know, based on what they've done in San Francisco, this could be good for us, but that doesn't necessarily mean he'll be on the roster in September. You know, I've said before, like, if you don't have a QB, you have nothing. And the Jets right now, Salah is inheriting a situation where he has no QB. He has no set answer. The Jets ruined Sam Darnold's development. So it'll be on him to decide if he can sort of fix a decent QB and turn him into something great, or just say, hey, you know what? There's a lot of holes to fix, and with that number 2 pick, I'm moving on to a new QB.
It's great perspective because Kim spent 5 years on the Jets beat, and it seems like that's at least good for 2 or 3 head coaches, right? 5 years.
It sure was for the Rex days. Yep.
Now they've got one that they hopefully feel will be there for a long time. See if they get this one right. This is being universally praised throughout the NFL and football circles as a great move for the Jets, and Kim concurs. Kim, we will look for you Sunday before the game on Sunday NFL Countdown, and then after the game on SportsCenter for the very latest between the Browns and the Chiefs, one of whom will be headed to the AFC title game. Kim, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, guys.
Fellas, let's go from A.
Wait, hold on.
What's
we ain't going from A to Z just yet.
Okay, hang on.
Jay,
Yeah.
what was Claypool's name?
Stop,
trying
man.
to avoid
You know, you get, you get a tongue twister. I know it's Chase Claypool, and I said Clace Claypool. I got it.
Clay Claypool.
Hey, I botched a few in my time too.
You guys are the worst. I knew this was going to happen. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I said, damn it.
Clay Claypool.
Well, look, but I'm not going to be the one. It's going to be Twitter. Is that English? What does this mean?
Clay Claypool.
That's going to be the one.
I mean, why do you think people call me Z? I mean, it's just like, now you can't get it wrong.
No,
Right?
just got a lot of
fine.
names.
How could you botch Zubin?
You'd be surprised.
Nobody gave Key any mess when he messed up on Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I did, but see,
He said, ooh, too many names.
Yeah, I got out of it. You didn't. You kept going. You just wanted it to go away.
That's get out of it. You just keep going. Act like it didn't happen.
Clay Claypool.
But
Oh, jeez.
We knew who you meant, of course. We knew who you
You
meant.
guys are the worst.
As we go from A to Z, here's an unmistakable name that all sports fans know. That would be one Mickey Mantle, as we go from A to Z here. Mickey Mantle, $5.2 million. The sale of a Mickey Mantle baseball card. $5.2 million.
Key, real quick.
Well, I guess that's art.
This is how our crew tried to do us wrong this morning. I'm reading the notes, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is worth $5.2 million." Key's card on Amazon worth $2. Jay's card on Amazon worth $1.50. That's what our crew tried to do.
No, but my card that's worth $2 is probably a card that they duplicated 18 million times. But I'm not spending. Well, I guess it's art though, right?
Yeah,
it's an investment.
million.
It's art. It's an investment. They put it away and it goes up. I'm not a collector, Zubin, so it just sounds absurd. But I guess that's a collector's item. It's probably the only one in the world.
Zubin, sports cards right now are one of the hottest things out there in business. Like it is booming. These cards.
It's one of those things where it's like it's retro. What's old is new again. We're all over the age where we kind of remember where like baseball card collecting was a thing. If you're like a millennial now, you're like, what in the world are you talking about?
Yeah.
But it was a big thing back in the day.
Yeah, 5.2. It's got to be art. That's the only thing, right? That's the way I would justify it.
And no offense to the fellas, because they had great athletic careers and I just watched them. But think about it. The shipping and handling on a Key or J card is more expensive than the card. Right? The shipping and the handling is more expensive than the card.
See, I'm not going to let you do that to me, Zubin, because the card that they referring to and referencing got to be a card that was made 10 times over. I'm not going out like that.
Fair enough. So
that's
if you're
cold-blooded, Zubin. I just want you to know that. I'm marking that one down. A lot of shots being fired today on this show.
That's good, though. $2, huh? Yeah, you are right.
Right. And Jay, you got work to do. You're 50 cents behind. All right, here we go.
That's why my name is second on the show, Zubin. I get it.
All right, here we go. Jay, this is important. This is right up your alley, the Nets, the NBA, and what's going to be happening with this huge story. Sean Marks, the team's GM, addressing the Kyrie Irving absence. What's going on? Here's the GM, and then we'll get Jay's reaction.
They're completely separate from one another. Kyrie's absence and the personal issues that he's dealing with has nothing to do with us, going after and attaining James Harden in this. Regarding Kyrie and when he'll be hopefully back and rejoining the team, part of that is going to be up to the NBA, and we're waiting for them to come out with their ruling on the health and safety protocols. Hopefully, we'll have a ruling soon. I have talked to Kyrie, so I know he's excited about getting back on the court with his teammates, as soon as possible.
And just in case you're wondering, if you don't know, and sometimes you don't see these guys on TV, Sean Marks has that Australian-New Zealand background, so that's where the James Harden came in there instead of James Harden. What do you think here, Jay? So the GM has weighed in.
See, it's a win-win for the Nets right now. It's a win-win position. And your position is this. If Kyrie decides to come back and be a part of this team, you would think that James Harden, them going out and acquiring him, would get the attention of Kyrie. Like, we can do it now. We're going to surround all the pieces to get this thing done. If he comes back, great. If he doesn't, if he chooses not to, if issues continue, then you have to deal with that. But now you have James Harden and Kevin Durant on the same team. Like, that is still a recipe for success in